Imagine your brother, your sister, or your child leaves home one morning and never comes back. No phone call, no trace, no explanation, just silence. For 13,595 Nigerian families, this is not fiction. This is their daily agony. According to the ICRC, over 23,600 Nigerians are missing, with 59% of them minors at the time they vanished, and 67% of these cases are concentrated in Borno State, especially in the Bama LGA. So let me pause for a second. Think about that. Thousands of women, children, mothers, fathers, all lost in the cracks of conflict and neglect. This isn't just a statistics, it's a national crisis. This is very sad. Well, this is where I welcome you to Politics Uncensored, where we tell the truth as it is, without filters, without pretense. Today, we're asking the hard question. Why are Nigerians disappearing without a trace? Who is failing them, and what can be done about this? Our goal will always be to provide a platform for open and honest discussions where experts and everyday citizens like yourself can share your perspectives and insights. It's of course your favorite show, and we have 3 expert guests who will be joining us very soon. I'm your host, Okikiola Taiwo Jalupon, and you can call me the polyhumanitarian, and I'm here to make political discussions accessible to you all. We want to hear from you because all of our episodes is all about you, so be a part of the conversation every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to add your voice to these discussions. You can also head on to our YouTube channel right now at Official Upgrade TV. Hit that subscribe button, like, share the link, and invite your friends and family to join the show right now. Our phone lines are also open to you. You can call us on 070-2500-7749 and 070-1424-2420. Let's hear what you have to say. We'll go on a break right now, and we'll return with our guests and take our top stories in the political space making headlines. So do not go anywhere. We'll be right back shortly. You are still watching Politics Uncensored, and today we're addressing the disappeared. Nigeria's 13,595 missing persons and their families fight for justice. The tragedy of Nigeria's missing person is no longer just a statistics, it's a human catastrophe. These are not faceless numbers. These are children snatched by insurgents in Borno, students who never returned from campus in Benue, mothers kidnapped on their way to markets in Zamfara, and fathers disappeared at checkpoints in the southeast. For every one missing person, there is a family trapped between hope and despair, waiting for answers that too often never come. And this is not just a humanitarian issue. It's a test of Nigeria's governance and humanity. If a nation cannot account for its citizens, what does that say about the value it places on human lives? Families deserve closure. Citizens deserve justice, and Nigeria must urgently create a transparent national framework to track, investigate, and resolve cases of missing persons. Well, joining me to address this issue are my guests. I have Jacob Koji Pwakim, who is Executive Director of Youth Initiative Against Violence and Human Rights Abuse. I also have Eniola Uruole, who is a National PRO, National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. And finally, I have Dr. Frank Te Abagan, who is the Associate Professor of International Relations, Strategic Studies and Public Policies of the Department of Political Science in Benue Makurdi. So thank you for joining people.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Before we go straight into the conversation for today, I really love to hear your insight about one of the stories that's currently trending on the political space, and that's the story of the whistleblower who got reinstated just recently. So Ogun has ordered the reinstatement of the sack whistleblower and ordered them to pay 5 million naira in damages, and this was stated by the National Industrial Court sitting in Lagos, which has ordered the immediate reinstatement of a registered nurse, Thomas Olamide, who was dismissed in 2023 by the Ogun State College of Health Technology over her whistleblowing activities. Delivering judgment last Wednesday, Justice S.A. Yelwa held that Olamide's termination was unlawful, unjust and unfair, and directed the college and the Ogun State Attorney General to reinstate her without delay. The court further ordered the defendants to pay all outstanding salaries, allowance and entitlement owed to Olamide from the date of her suspension to her reinstatement, as well as 5 million naira as damages. Olamide, through her counsel, Timothy Adewale, had challenged her dismissal, arguing that she was victimized for exposing misconduct within the college. During her employment, she had reported the theft of medical supplies and a power generator from the institution's clinic, and also exposed an attempt to cover up the rape of a nursing student by a senior official, a case that eventually led to the prosecution of the official. And the court ruled that Olamide's actions fell squarely within the protected whistleblowing activities, and punishing her for them violated her rights. Well, would we say at this point that this is justice served? And I'm bothered really about, after she's reinstated, what's the safety of these whistleblowers? What's the safety of her career, and what are they going to do to protect her? I'm very concerned about that. Her exposing what has happened in the clinic shows the deep-rooted corruption and evil that happen within the spaces that are very much underreported. And when some of these cases come to light, people think that they could go above the law and try to remove people, to disenfranchise them from being open. So if I was going to ask you, what would you say about this story, and how do you think that she should be protected even after being reinstated into the same space? Do I have Dr. Frank here?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Please go on.
Yes. I don't know what's wrong with my connection. I'm using Glo. It's a very good connection, but I don't know. It's you know how these network problems are.
Absolutely.
Good afternoon, everyone. But you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Please go on ahead. We can hear you.
Yes, I have. Okay. Well, what was your question? Because I'm trying to start this so that I can go ahead.
Okay, so I was asking that what's going to be the next phase of action for her, especially after she has exposed certain things that had happened in the clinic, and they have asked her to be reinstated. What other protection method are they supposed to put in place to ensure that she's either maybe not poisoned or unalived in just because she has exposed, something that is happening in that space?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. The whistleblowing, method of getting information and prosecuting people actually started, a little bit of it started during the period of Goodluck Jonathan when he was in office. And then his successor, Muhammadu Buhari, also, did a little bit of it. But the format of its usage has been faulty. Just like you referred, the protection, the safety of the whistleblower most times is not guaranteed. I think we need more, a more elaborate legislation from the judicial sector in order to enable certain kinds of protection. Like if you take a look at the whistleblower system in other parts of the world, Europe and United States, there's even a witness program where your identity is totally concealed And only the people who get to know this are those who are on a need-to-know basis. But we don't have such a system in Nigeria. So most people who undertake whistleblowing do that with a lot of risks. And we've had blowbacks where, some people who volunteered information were actually victimized. So this is the sad situation we have. Only very few persons who have volunteered information have, been protected by the state. So we need a more elaborate format. We need to go back to the drawing board and think deeply about how to protect our witnesses, especially when they volunteer very sensitive information that could help unravel many of these cases that they come up with.
Absolutely, Dr. Frank. I completely agree with you. And Bill, I hope that someone is listening and is taking this into account. Protection of people who have so they volunteered to expose corruption, injustice, or in whatever form must be protected beyond just being reinstated or whatever. So, yes, let's go on a short break. Of course, we'll return discussing the main issue for today. So do not go anywhere. We'll be right back shortly. Thank you for staying tuned. If you just tuned in, we are still discussing the issue of the disappeared Nigerians, 13,595 missing persons, and their families who have been fighting for justice. Our phone lines are still open to you. You can call us on 070 2500-7749 and 070-142420. Of course, I still have Jacob, Eniola, and Dr. Frank here with me. Let me start with Jacob. Jacob, are you here?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, wonderful. So from the human rights lens, I know that you do quite a lot of work with human rights and abuse. What patterns really emerge in missing person cases across the country that we don't see or we haven't heard of?
Okay, thank you very much. And also for bringing up this conversation in itself, because it's a conversations that are hardly being visions. Most probably because we have normalized the disappearance of people, we have normalized human destruction of human life, property, and killing of people. And so when you don't even hear that people have been killed, you begin to wonder whether we are all is well. Ordinarily, it should have been that if some things like this happen, we say, no, it is not well. But now when people are not killed, you think as if, oh, the biggest shock is about to happen. So this is a story of the Nigerian society where human beings have been used as shields, as negotiating in commodities, so to say, regrettably, as negotiating commodities. So the statistics that is being brought up by the International Committee of the Red Cross is just one of it, the ones that they have documented. And I can tell you that these ones that they talk about, they are the ones that are documented, but there are many others. There are many others that happen in Plateau, that are happening in Plateau. There are many others that are happening in local communities that have not seen the light of the day, like have not attracted national coverage of the media. So a lot of these things are happening. So we're not even talking of people that have been killed. We're talking of people that have been kidnapped. So over the years, young people, children and women have been used as negotiating items, in the sense that they kidnap them and they say, okay, they leave the man to go, or they only kidnap the children and they say, can you give us so amount of money? Oh, we're going to kill them. They don't kidnap the father because it is assumed that he should be the one to go and source for the funding. Beyond that, also, we have seen the ones that are being used at the local communities by local bandits to negotiate also for, again, the same resources and control of places to make a place feel unsafe. So if there are people that are being kidnapped all the time, definitely you'd have to run from that place simply because you believe that the place is not safe. So you begin to chase, to take women out of the space. And so a lot of these killings, a lot of these abductions are happening. A lot of them are happening, and quite unfortunate. Now, it is common in every community where people have normalized crime. Nigeria is like, some people have called it a crime scene, where people have normalized crime, where people are being killed, like I stated, and we feel it is normal. 200 people like you will feel it is normal. 100 people like you will say, no, it is not. So we compare. So we have brought in politics into the conversation. We say, no, during Jonathan, for instance, so people were killed. They didn't kill enough more than when during Buhari and now during President Tinubu.
Yeah.
So we have used human lives, whether for disappearance, whether for abduction. We're not even talking of children that are living in unsafe places. I remember there was a time that even when internally displaced persons left their communities for safety, they were still being attacked. In one community in Kwatazawan, they were still attacked by the same by about 13 people were killed. So we're talking about these ones are the ones that are documented, officially have been regarded as people that are looking for their families. But there are a lot of problems in the society with insecurity, with people, a lot of young people feeling insecure about a system that have not protected them, but should have also protected them.
Thank you very much, Jacob. It's quite sad how, even as much as these numbers are massive, they're still very widely underreported. And you've stated very, very key instances. Before I even go to asking, Eniola about the cases where some or most of these people are students, you have mentioned how, women and children are always at the forefront of negotiation. You also mentioned something very key for me, which is that people have now turned some of these cases into a political case. And I mentioned to someone when somebody asked me why we were having a conversation about missing persons on a political inclined show. And I remember stating the fact that everything is political when it comes to the comparison is political, the consequences is political, how people react to it is political. It's always determined by what they see and how they are judging what should work for the other. And they're like, it was better in Jonathan's time because it was just 300 people that died. Now in so person's time, it's about 500 or 600. These are part of the things that we have normalized as Nigerians, and this should not be happening. And that's why things like terrorism, banditry, communal clashes exist. So beyond all of these non-state actors like the whole terrorism and banditry, where exactly is the state involvement in all of this? What exactly is the state doing? And what exactly is their involvement in it? And I want Jacob to answer before I move on to Eniola to ask him about the students.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, the Nigerian society in itself, somebody said that it is not programmed to work. It's not programmed to work in the sense that even the police themselves, the DSS, the Nigerian army. You see, when you hear of certain narrative being peddled by them, you get to see a situation whereby it's as though we are in a helpless situation. So regrettably to say, in the sense that you get to see a policeman, security. Like, for instance, let's look at Plateau State as a case study. There have been this wild conversation around why would a trained Nigerian police or military on a joint task force mission would hear of attacks in a place and will not go. And when they go, you would hear that they repel the attackers. No, you don't repel attackers, you arrest attackers. And when the firepower of attackers are more than you presume that they are using very high power firepower, you also return with high firepower. Whatever that has been happening, whether it is Boko Haram in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, in the middle belt or north central here, we have the banditry, we have the ethno-religious conflict. In fact, it is better in ethno-religious grounds that you can say that, oh, you repel, and you do a lot of dialogues and dialogue. But this one, somebody have had a history of killing 10 people, 100 people, 200 people in an attack, and you say you have gone to repel them. No, that is clear case of injustice. So when you talk about, okay, what has the state done? It is the same question that I want to ask them. I remember when I was chairman of the Plateau Peace Practitioners Network, a civil society peace and security coalition here. And each time they do an attack and I send a letter to the STF and I say, where can we help you? Because it is obvious that it's like they need some sort of help. And that is why is it that they do not have intelligence. But again, you get to see when these attacks happen very close, not too far from the checkpoints, and at times they'll tell you, no, there is no order that has been given for us to what? To act on it. So there is a beyond normalization, there is this response time, the protocols around the response time to emergency situations is also something that they need to query within the rank and file of the security architectures of each of these states. Two, we have the issue of politicization. So for instance, you send a military in Plateau I would always use the example of Plateau because these are clear cases that have happened where in Muslim communities, you get to see them, they'll say, oh, we want the security, we want the military to be in our community. And why do they want the military to be in their community? Because there are more Muslims in where? In the military formations that have been dispatched to Plateau than what? Christians. Then you go to Christian community, they'll tell you, no, we want the police to come. Why? Simply because there are more police, more Christians in the police formations than the Muslims. So beyond the politicization of security architecture, the recruitment pattern of these security men and women into the force also undermines the quality of the discharge. And three, as far as people are not held accountable to the responsibilities being given to them when there is an outright failure, it is a clear case that anybody can do anything because impunity is reigning. So when I am a sector commander, for instance, and I have been deployed to a sector, and there's a certain jurisdiction that is under me, and people are being killed, and I am not being queried by the task force, the commander of the joint task force. Then it means that tomorrow another person who is somewhere can do the same.
Absolutely.
And let me cite one example lastly to close on this conversation. For you to know that some of these issues are also personal conversations that have encroached into official responsibility. In Burkina Faso, for instance, we used to have a certain General, certain Colonel Abdul Salam. That young colonel, while he was in Burkina Faso, there was some level of stability. Then there was more or less like a feedback around, okay, the force were very concerned about his work and everything, and he was redeployed. As at the time that he was deployed out of Burkina Faso, killings returned. So there are also military guys that when you see them deployed to a place, there's return to killings. When they are now being taken back, you get to see that things have changed. So beyond the response times, beyond the abnormalities in the formation of the communication formation, there is also the personal aggrandizement or personal sentiment that defines security operation that have made it that it's a free for all that, oh Israel, unto your tent.
Well, Jacob, you
Hence,
have
people are beginning to normalize these killings and the use of violence.
realistic point about how we see some of these issues. And I'm sure that for the people listening, also asking the questions, and as like me, who likes to where others want to see a state that for its people definitely would forfeit its legitimacy. But let me go straight to Eniola right now. You know, many missing individuals have been students. So how exactly is NANS addressing this crisis? Do I have Eniola here? Eniola, could you unmute
The
so that
network.
I can hear you? Eniola, can you hear me? Well, I think that
We
he
see, I can hear you.
is. Do I have Eniola here?
I think,
Yes, I'm here. I
yeah,
can hear you.
yes,
Okay,
I can see him.
wonderful. Did you hear my question?
No, no, no. You can come again.
Okay, I said that many individuals who have been missing or who are still missing are students. So how exactly is NANS addressing this crisis?
Well, I first of all want to, uh, you know, my heart goes to the students, to the parents of the students that have disappeared over the years. There's an adage in Yoruba that they say, "Ọmọ ẹni kú, ó sàn ju ọmọ ẹni nù lọ," that if your child dies, it's better than when the child goes missing. Like you can't see the dead body, cannot see him again, or her, as the case may be. So I commiserate with the families of the students. About 59% of the total missing people in Nigeria are under breaking. NAS is very concerned about NAS is very concerned about the disappeared person, the students that went to school, students that are going to excursion that they kidnapped on their way. We are very concerned, and we are charging the Ministry of Interior to be more efficient in their database, because some people will disappear, they don't even have NIN, we cannot even, children must be documented at the point of birth. So mostly identity problem is part of why people cannot be located easily. Identity problem. Secondly, about 67% of people that are missing in Nigeria got lost in Borno alone. 67%. That means insurgency is also causing most of these disappearances. NANS is working with the relevant security agencies to make sure that our campuses are safe, not just our campuses, our villages, because our children, our students goes home every holiday to go and celebrate with their parents. Some will be coming back, they will be kidnapped. Some will be coming back, they will have accidents. They will not even know. That's what I'm talking about, the identity problem now. Some people will have accidents on the road. Some students doesn't have their ID card. They will leave their parents' house. They will not get to school. Maybe through tanker or very ghastly accident that we must work on our identity solution. We have to embrace. Well, I want to charge the Minister of Interior, Honorable Bumiti Jojo, to level up. He has been trying, but you have to level up in terms of identifying Nigerians, even in deaths. So NAS is very concerned, and we have looked into it. We'll continue to look into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Eniola. A lot of people might not be able to relate to this conversation, but for context sake, I'm going to cite certain examples. Charity Ayedogbo was a businesswoman in Abuja, and she disappeared in 2016. No packed bag, she had stew on a cooker, only to be found murdered later. Her case is still haunting the whole of Abuja, and very quite sad situation. And in Ekiti State, we still had Usaini Udagi, who was 35 years old, or who is 35 years old at the time. He vanished in July 2024, and his disappearance, along with that of a 16-year-old and an 84-year-old, has left families in agony with no answers. And just during the 2015 to 2025 conflict in the Northeast, the RC has recorded over 24,000 missing Nigerians, and many are still unaccounted for. We spoke to a lady in Bono, and she said she thought she was alone until she met other families, and so far she has learned to laugh and to hope. And that's what psychosocial accompaniment also meant to have. But this is quite sad. You know, Jacob mentioned state failure, and I'm wondering, is this negligence or just complicit silence? And of course, I want Dr. Abagen to answer, you know, after him, where he spoke about, you know, some of the best practices or suggestions that he would advise, you know, the government to do. So first off, Jacob, you mentioned how the state has failed its people. So do you think that this is just pure negligence or just complicit silence?
Okay, they are both. Negligence on one part, because the culture of impunity defines us as a nation, whether in governance, civil service practice, public service practice, even in the life in our politics. Now, complacency has, of course, it's been touched there because over the years, like I've cited examples, there is this deliberateness that, okay, the politicization of engagement, in the sense that it takes political identity. A military man posted to a place that has some sentiments, either ethnic or religious, to the conflict itself and to the communities. He acts contrary to the ethics of the profession. But again, like I said, when there is an hearing officer, what happens after his action or her action? If there is no system on ground to checkmate, to debrief, because we've watched in a couple of movies, we've read in books, and where officers come back from engagement, national or state assignment, they come back and they do debriefing. How did you utilize our ammunitions? Our ammunitions given to you. So as far as there is no debriefing practice on ground, definitely people do anything that they want to do. Three, there's also this general belief that the conflict, the issue, the insecurity is seem to be, like we say, politicized in the sense that government. Somebody asked this question: why have banditry not been tagged a terrorist group, bandits? Why have they not been tagged terrorist group? And the clear conversation there is that we just finished from Boko Haram, and it is not clearly, we are not yet clearly done with that. Does Nigeria have enough manpower coming from the lessons of fighting Boko Haram? Do they have enough manpower to really address the level of insecurity in the Northwest and in the North Central? And of course, it is migrating to the South, which has touched the southern part of the Southwest and has also entered the Southeast. I think it is only the South that have not yet had a touch of this banditry. And obviously, it has a migratory tendency. So clearly, there are multiple dimensions to this. Complacency is there, negligence is there, and a weakened state strategy to addressing insecurity is also there. Where we have governors who have security votes but are not deploying these security votes for the betterment of their places. Let me share one quick example. I have a young man who has been on my neck that, okay, this conflict, they are enough, they don't want the killings and everything. And I've tried to reach out to government personnel. Different of them are different levels, and to say, okay, I have had experience of some of these mediations in conflict and all whatnot. If government is not part and parcel of this negotiation, of these mediations, there's a tendency that we cannot make any headway, because most of the issues that we're addressing that are emerging key drivers are issues that need state action, like opening of grazing routes and all whatnot. And of the three that I reach out to, I can bet you that none of them have gotten back to me, despite all the reach out. So the question is, are there people benefiting from insecurity in their state? Are governors benefiting from it? If they are not benefiting from it, I think some of these issues are not very big issues for them to respond.
Thank you very much,
using
Jacob.
dialogue mechanism plus kinetic approach.
Thank you very much, Jacob. So let's go on a very short break. Of course, we'll return still discussing this issue of Nigeria, which is very sad. It's a very emotional one, because sometimes you think about what the states could do. The solutions are very obvious. The problems are also very obvious. But just like Jacob has asked, what exactly are we to do about it? Are the governors, are they certain people who are benefiting from the insurgency and the problems in Nigeria? So let's go on a short break, ponder on that, and then come back to the discussion. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Well, welcome back to the show. This is still Politics Uncensored, and we are discussing, Nigerian issues. We're talking about the disappeared. We have currently 13,595 missing persons in Nigeria, and their families are seeking justice. So I'm going to ask Dr. Frank, right now, if you had the ear of the president today, what's that one reform that you would implement to change this problem?
Okay, thank you very much. To solve any problem, you have to look at its root cause. It only became worse over time. Spectrum of missing persons will have definite causes, and I'm going to refer to some of them. I may not be able to capture all of them. There were a lot of Nigerians. You have conflicts, Boko Haram, unknown gunmen, in communal conflicts, Ife Moda KK, we'll have the Muleri Aguleri, the Tiv and the Jukun, farmers and herders, you name it. So conflicts lead to situations where people go missing because people who oppose themselves try to take advantage of, grabbing people who are defenseless, people who call soft targets. You have crime. We have situations where kidnapping and people who also go and grab people for things like ritual murder, that's another cause of missing persons. You have this very deadly one now. It's called organ harvesting. The impetus for organ harvesting started from abroad, where people abroad are able to pay money in hard currency for organs, situation that affected the former. He took somebody from here to the UK and the whole thing. So we have a situation whereby merchants pay money to people within the country to help them get organs so that they can be used for transplanting abroad. This is another cause for missing persons. Sometimes you see somebody looking hale and hearty, and the next thing you don't see such a person because he has been targeted. You have human trafficking, and we have internal and external platforms for this. For internal, you have childless couples who are sometimes in the southern part of Nigeria and who send certain agents to kidnap little children and babies. We had a situation about last year here where a lady who had 3 children was selling, commodities to a young woman, and before she could go inside and get some change for the transaction, her 2 kids were kidnapped. Her issue ended well because the police was swift and they were able to trace the children to all the way to Port Harcourt to a childless couple there. So that's one of the sources. You also have external sources where, believe it or not, some countries abroad are still doing slavery. So sometimes you see human beings are captured here and sold to these people to serve as slaves abroad. We'll have those kind of situations too. Over time, we used to have the situation of rapists and serial killers abroad, but we're beginning to see the presence of these kind of rapes. Now has seen his identity. He kills the person and then hides the body. And you never get to see such a person again. Then you also have assassination by politicians. If you are disturbing certain kinds of politicians, they may order a hit on you. The spectrum of the situation, unfortunately, are in government. So you can see how complicated the situation has been. Then Nigeria has, over time, has not been able to prosecute successfully who actually engage in these crimes. What is happening in Nigeria is an environment where crimes take place. You see the state, as my co-discussant was saying, you see the government recruiting people. That kind of situation here in Nigeria, because unfortunately, many of the people doing these things are in government. And that's why these things become so protracted. So we have to get to a situation whereby the people themselves are the ones to protect themselves. They have to rise up and demand. And this is where you talk about civil society groups, like my friend here in Nantes, to actually tell government that, look, they won't tolerate. When government sees that people are not tolerating such things anymore, they'll be forced to come out with reforms. People who perpetrate these crimes should be apprehended, prosecuted, and let the full arm of the law take its course with them. And then we shouldn't protect people. You see a situation whereby some people actually have information on the people perpetrating these crimes and don't tell the law enforcement agents, don't tell anybody. They're just quiet about it, and such people carry on in society with a false air of respectability. So this is the situation where, we have, criminals moving around in our country without any action. So when you have that, the situation is so explosive. And that's why you have this kind of situation you have in Nigeria. If the government does what it's supposed to do, we'll have these particular incidents reducing. There has to be a sign that impunity will not be tolerated, in our country. But here we are. So it behoves on us, the people, to continue the advocacy, to demand from government at all levels, right, from student associations, civil society organizations, professional organizations, that we won't tolerate this. It has to start from that particular angle. And when we those reforms will come.
Thank you very much,
But if
Dr. Frank.
we keep on being complacent, the persons will not stop, it will continue. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Frank. So let's quickly open this up. We just have a few minutes left to round up. So you are insinuating that some of our government agencies are completely are complicit at this point with these issues, and sometimes if I was going to give them the benefit of the doubt, I could say that they might be overwhelmed by the skill or something of some sort, maybe an excuse for them. Because if civil societies don't lead, should we start to now accept, or should families start to accept disappearance as inevitable? Or you have mentioned that we need to start being our brother's keeper and standing up for ourselves and all of these things. But is it completely inevitable if the government doesn't put this or put their feet to the ground to ensure that they can safeguard lives and property? And I want Eniola to quickly answer. And if he could quickly also, probably in his closing statement, also give a message to the families who are currently still searching for their loved ones.
Thank you very much. On the beginning of this conversation, I've commiserated with the families of people that have lost their loved one and they are still searching for their bodies. And it should be noted that I've said before that the identity system in Nigeria should be upgraded very well, so that when even in some cases you hear government saying our mortuaries are overcrowded, they don't know those dead bodies, autopsy tests can bring out identity of people. Some people that die in tanker explosion cannot be easily identified. Students are there too. If they are identification tests and system in Nigeria, it can actually reduce the number of missing persons in Nigeria. So some people will be happy if they can see their loved one, even if the person is dead, rather than not seeing their dead bodies at all.
And then hoping.
So our government, just a moment, and I want to use this medium to appeal to our government. The student union, the NANS body is doing a lot. For example, two students that disappeared from University at Akoko. We mobilized our people, they protested. That makes the police to intensify their investigation, and eventually they were able to get the culprits. 4 of them, 1 died, the 2 of them or 3, they are in prison now. So I want to talk about delayed judgment, delayed prosecution for all these offenders like bandits, Boko Haram, kidnappers, and armed robbers that can take people forcefully from their home, kill them, bury them in a shallow grave. Their prosecution should be faster than a normal case. In a case that prosecution lasts for 2-3 years, this will encourage all these inimical activities in our environment. So the government should, reform the system, accelerate prosecution, deal with them, let the family get justice on time. With all these things, and with the support of our people in NANS, we are proactive to any disappearance of any students nationwide, even in death, we stand with them. Once again, I want to commiserate with the
Thank you very much, Eniola. Let me quickly hear from Jacob. What would be your parting shot and your message to the families who are still searching?
Okay, let me start with the families that are still searching. We are in solidarity with you, and we'll keep on adding our voices to the conversation so that we do not just call for the rescue of those people you are searching, your loved ones that you're searching. We're also calling for the protection of all Nigerians, that we should all get serious about this country. We should undermine whatever that is happening, it can escalate. Now, for me, if I'm to advise the government, we've seen under the President Tinubu-led leadership what they are advocating for a whole of government and a whole of society approach, where they are also integrating the data management of citizens and all that, which means that it will be quite easier to track people using all the information that they have. So we need to see citizens that are also taking responsibility are integrated into security formations in a very non-partisan way and inclusive way, so that they are also providing, they are like the first responders in their communities before the state responders then come in. So basically for me, this is it. There should still be like a national security architecture manning these places, but there should be the integration of the locals in those communities so that they are able to provide, to serve as first responders before issues escalate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Can I hear from Dr. Frank as he drops his wrapping shot also?
Okay. My heart goes out to all the families who are victims of this. In fact, I was almost a victim many years ago when my son was nearly kidnapped in his primary school. So I can relate to situations whereby victims disappear and the families are in anguish. I had a classmate who wanted to go abroad to play football. Many years ago, more than 30 years ago, he's missing today. The family doesn't know what has happened to him. So I can understand the pain, the frustration when families can't really see their loved ones anymore. But there are certain things we can do. We can still continue to tell governments to do. One, we need more enhanced law enforcement using modern technology. You need to have cameras practically everywhere so that you increase your surveillance. We're moved into proactive crime prevention, and then you deploy. So crime license agents, when you have cameras situated in places where these particular kinds of events can take place, kidnappings and all that, it will be easy for us to now, apprehend culprits. We need profiling. In certain countries, you cannot carry out any transaction without showing an ID. So where we can maybe tell our lawmakers to create that kind of situation whereby everyone should have an ID. When it's like that, it's easier to trace. We also need to have a situation where the country has forensic laboratories all over the country so that DNA testing should be the basis, to help apprehend culprits. And then we need value orientation. And then generally, the final one is the country needs to, I'm speaking about Nigeria now, improve the economy so that many young men who are tempted to go into crimes, especially crimes that relate to kidnapping and killing people and making people go missing or engaging in human trafficking, are dissuaded from doing so because they have proper alternatives. So these are my final words on this particular issue. It's unfortunate, and like my heart goes out to families of the victims.
Thank you very much, Dr. Frank, and of course to Jacob and Eniola. I believe that behind every number is a name, and behind every statistic is a face. Behind every disappearance is a family ripped apart, and we cannot continue to normalize disappearance, not as democracy, not as progress. I stand here both as a political advocate and a human rights warrior that I will fight for a national missing persons registry, just like our guests have also mentioned, transparency with legal teeth and rooted in dignity. And I definitely advocate for policies that protect lives and not ignore them. This has been Politics Uncensored, and of course, I am the polyhumanitarian, and I demand that Nigeria counts every life. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and never let science be complicity. Thank you to our viewers and, of course, our guests who have so lovingly joined this conversation and given their insights. Before I go, to ensure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV. Follow us on all our social media platforms. You can interact with us further. I'll see you again on Wednesday. Goodbye.